Coming to you from the Indian Media Production Studios, it's Three Dogs and a Dude. Hey everybody, Tobin A. Sabato here with your host for Three Dogs and a Dude. Today in studio we have a very special guest, Tom Warhurst, also known as AFLAC Tom, Warsquared Tom, Coach Tom. He doesn't know this yet, but Karaoke Tom. And I hear there might even be toilet paper Tom. So we've got a lot to cover here today, so we're just going to jump right into it. Welcome to the studio, Tom. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's exciting.
We've been talking about this for a while, so really kind of looking forward to, my guests getting to meet you a little bit more. And first off, for the viewers, if you've got any emails or any feedback or any questions you've got, my email is right there on the screen there. It's ace@threedogdude.com. And then we can also put Tommy's contact info up here now. We've got some new camera systems that we're working through in the studio here. So bear with us as we get the cameras synced up, the mic synced up, and our brains synced up.
Yes, it's early in the morning for us.
Caffeine is at a premium right now. So, but there's Tom's contact information. If you hear anything, you want to buy some insurance, you need some AFLAC, you need the AFLAC duck in your life.
Everybody needs AFLAC.
This is your guy.
Right now.
So Tom's email is right there, and we'll throw that up again here a little bit later. But with that said, let's jump right into it, Tom. So AFLAC. I should have brought that sounder down, but I'd have probably gotten in trouble for that, right? If we actually did the recorded one.
I'm not. Yes, if you would have done the recorded one, it would have had to have been pre-approved by HQ. Yeah. I mean, everything that has to do with the duck and anything printed or media of any sort has to be approved by corporate.
So, but as an AFLAC guy, and you've been doing it for a little while now, do you practice that? I mean, if you got it down, let's hear your best duck imitation.
Well, AFLAC.
Oh, that's pretty solid.
So it's pretty easy. That's really the first thing I ask. The first thing I ask everybody, who knows what AFLAC is besides the duck?
Right.
And everybody's like, nah, I don't know. Yeah.
And if you ask them if they know the duck, all the hands go up.
Right. Everybody knows the duck.
We say besides the duck, they all just kind of suddenly go down.
Right.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. Then what is AFLAC? Okay, well, AFLAC is supplemental insurance. We don't correlate with your medical benefits. We pay regardless of whatever medical insurance you have, whatever they pay, we don't care.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about some of the offerings that you guys have in that realm. I mean, what do you guys cover in that space?
Well, there's a lot. Our two of our best policies and our most frequently used policies, at least in my experience, is our accident policy, which can protect you 24/7 on or off the job for accidental injuries. Also comes with some accidental death insurance. So if you don't already have any life insurance, which I strongly recommend everybody out there gets, then you at least have something in case of a accident that claims your life or the life of a loved one that's covered under the policy. Then there's also our short-term disability, which just very recently, as in last week, we have now upgraded to protect your paycheck when you are forced to miss work to include time off for mental health reasons.
Oh,
so
we both better get a little bit of that. Maybe.
I got to get all over that, but it's so exciting because the mental health benefits are the number one most requested benefit in insurance right now.
Well, it's so big. I mean, it's something that people didn't used to talk about at all. And now to get something like that to where it's, part of one of your main lines that you have, and it's got coverages there. I mean, that's huge. I mean, people should definitely take a look at that. And I mean, I always hear, I've got several friends that are in the insurance world, and, people, you don't think about insurance until you need it. But if you haven't taken care of it up front, you're in a world of hurt when that bad day happens.
For sure. And we did have a training session a couple of weeks ago, and we had one of the Amos family members in, and he was talking about, the main reason that AFLAC was started because his grandfather got diagnosed with cancer, and it was a huge expense and a drain on the family. And so they wanted to help other families with that. So they started, actually at that point, AFLIC. It was the American Family Life Insurance Company. And they actually, had to have a coin flip with another company to see who got that insurance company name. So we were a coin flip away from being AFLIC, not AFLAC.
That doesn't have the same ring for the duck, I don't think.
It does
I
not.
mean, you'd have to get like a southern duck or something to do that.
Well, no, if it was Southern, it'd be AFLIC. So that really
maybe,
doesn't work.
Maybe like from Larry Bird's old stomping grounds, you could be out of French Lick.
Right. It'd be
Indiana.
like that, but different.
Different, but the same, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, you've been to all these trainings, this, that, and the other. Have you met the duck? What's he like?
I have not met the duck. I have seen the preview of our new ads for college football season. Just let me say, now there's a goat.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it now. And so what's one thing people don't really know they need when you talk to, you talk to people all the time about this stuff?
Usually it's life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming more recognized now, I think, after COVID, maybe.
Right.
Because people were unexpectedly dying from COVID,
mm-hmm.
or as a result of COVID, they, something else popped up.
The side effects or some underlying conditions.
And nothing is getting cheaper in our world. That's
inflation? Recession? No, we're not. No, we redefined those, Tom. That's a whole nother conversation. We could probably go for 2 hours on that one.
Right. That's somebody else's podcast or radio show. So I just don't think until you're in that situation, you don't understand. Not only are you trying to deal with the loss of a loved one, but everybody is saying, in order for this to happen, you need to pay me.
Right.
And it's not pretty. And I don't want that for anybody. I really want everybody to be prepared if something tragic happens.
Right. And you're there to help. I mean, you want to be there to be able to help and comfort them and take that burden of the finance piece. I mean, when you lose a loved one, you're already going through very tough times. Mentally, it just drains you. It wears you out physically and mentally. And the last thing you want to worry about is the finances and the dollars and cents of it too.
Right. So
to have that life insurance, to have those things in place where, yes, something terrible's happened, but at least you can come with the good news of, hey, here's this to help. It was planned. You had something in place. So yeah, if you don't have life insurance or you only have it through your employer, if you get laid off, you get injured, you lose your job for some reason, that life insurance goes away. If they get something through you guys, they have that to take with them from wherever they're going.
And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that really your business signs up with AFLAC, and your business gets you a business rate with a pre-tax, with the exception of our short-term disability and the life insurance. Those are pre-tax options. So basically you save 7.65 cents for every dollar you spend on AFLAC because it's pre-tax. And the business is not the policyholder. It's not the person that is now my client so much. It's the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And you take your policy with you wherever you go. If you go to another company with AFLAC, then you still have your AFLAC policy and you get to go back on pre-tax deduction. If not, it just comes out of your bank account and it's yours until you need it, until you decide not to pay premiums anymore,
mm-hmm.
or until you get to a point where you totally age out of all the policies.
Yeah. No, I could see that being definitely probably the one conversation that you have to have with everybody. I mean, if they have coverages, great. But if they don't, it's definitely something to think about, especially in today's day and age with COVID, monkeypox. I'm not sure what's next.
And really, a lot of the businesses that we do business with are offices, and those individuals have great rates.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a nice, cheap policy that's cheaper than you can get individually and just go direct. And then if you leave that job, you don't have to take an increase in your AFLAC premium. You keep that premium.
Right. So, all you individuals, but also all you business owners who want to offer this as a benefit, an added package thing to sweeten the pot, because as we all know, labor's very difficult right now, and keeping people is much easier than it is finding new people. But if you're trying to attract people to fill spots, your benefits packages are a big play in that nowadays. So, any of you business owners or HR managers, Tom's email address is right there on the screen. Shoot him a note, schedule an appointment, have him come in and talk to you. Schedule a lunch meeting. This guy's notorious for buying lunches. So if you want lunch and learn a little bit about it, shoot him an email. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. So
love it. 80% of millennials want supplemental benefits.
Wow. It's a big number. All right. So on that note, let's go talk about Warsquared Tom.
Sure.
Tell me about Warsquared. What in the world is Warsquared?
Okay, Warsquared is Tim Warren and I. We've known each other for 30-ish years. I don't know. It's been a long time.
And you both still claim each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I had hair back then. Long hair, not just regular hair, like hair metal hair. And of course, my name is Warhurst. His name is Warren. And we were trying to think of what's a catchier phrase. And for some reason in my mind, I always had the Breaking Bad symbol.
Okay. Yeah.
And I wanted to put, the little green element symbol with war and a 2 in the top right corner. And it was Warsquared, and that's our symbol. And we came up with some other logo, and then we've got another logo that we're thinking about going with. So we're always looking at stuff there. But basically, Doc and I have been playing fantasy football together for, I think, 20 of the 30 years that we've known each other.
So basically since the inception of fantasy football.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Since it became more mainstream, for sure.
Right.
And we talk about it all the time.
Well, sure.
I mean, all year round.
Right.
And you're still talking about it in March as you're preparing for the real NFL draft during the combine and going, oh, this guy's going to be awesome in fantasy. And so we decided. Now, another thing that I did is back when I was toilet paper Tom, I had a little bit more free time in the office. And one of the things that I had told our IT guy there at one point was, if you block these fantasy football sites, you're going to lose me on Tuesday morning from 9 till noon.
Because you got to work the waiver wire.
I got things to do.
Priorities.
And so one of the things I was doing is recaps and newsletters for 4 or 5 leagues every week.
Okay.
And so that was another thing that it was just like sometimes we just talk about how much crap we talked on people in the league.
Oh yeah, that's the fun part. I mean, you got to hang a little bit every now and then. Somebody has a great week and somebody lays an egg. And
right. So in October of 2020, during COVID, where we're just dying to do something outside of the house,
mm-hmm.
Doc says, hey, look, I've got a guy that I met named Seth, and he wants me to start.
Now your brain should have went the minute Seth's name got brought into this, but you didn't know yet.
I didn't know him yet. When I met him, that's what happened. Yeah, 100%. He really is a Sasquatch looking dude. You know him, so
Sasquatch. That's fantastic.
He is. And
I think we could start another podcast there. Maybe, I don't know.
Right, three dogs and a Sasquatch.
Well, me and the 3 dogs have actually thought about starting our own hybrid show, because I like watching like the Bigfoot hunting shows, and I also like the ghost adventures and ghost hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could do both. And I mean, with a team of highly sensitive and very skilled dogs, as they're all laying around the studio on the floor sleeping right now. I'm surprised you can't hear them snoring. Thankfully, we upgraded the microphone so there's not quite as much ambient noise being picked up. But yeah, I think we could start something there and maybe have Seth as one of our first guests.
Well, or targets,
That could be even more fun.
Either one is probably good. So Doc came to me and said, hey, this guy, we're going to start this other podcast, which still hasn't started, by the way. But while we're doing that, I thought we could do a fantasy football podcast. Are you interested? I said, yes, I've been interested in this for 5 years.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Tom is really shy. He doesn't like to talk. He's
No.
not vocal at all, not outgoing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to talk into a microphone or to just talk to people in general.
I mean, he walked in the studio today and the lights went on, and it's like Tom just perked up. It's
Right.
like, what's going on here? So, all right. So you guys have this podcast going on, and when do you do it? How do people find it?
Right now, we're doing it every Wednesday, roughly 6 o'clock in the evening. We live stream it on Facebook. Later that evening, it'll go on to our YouTube page, so you can rewatch it or listen to it from there. We were on Podbean. We had a issue there, and so we're not on there right now. So really, it's Facebook and YouTube to find us right now.
Gotcha. All right. So I've got a fantasy football expert sitting in the studio here. What's one tip that you'd give to listeners to help them just dominate their fantasy draft coming up? Because I mean, it's draft time. If you haven't already drafted, your draft is coming up in the next 10 days.
Yeah, I've got one Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night next week. Yeah.
So as the fantasy football guru, what's one tip you'd give to just an average listener out there who's, hey, I'm getting in this league and they've never won it. What's a tip you'd give them?
Know your position in the draft and know what players you can get at those positions. So right now, the big debate is, do you go running back or wide receiver in the first round?
Right.
The safer pick is always wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got really 3 guys going in the first round with Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and Jamar Chase. Once you get to pick 3, I think they're live. So go your wide receiver, get your killer guy early, and come back and follow that up with one of the secondary running backs.
Right.
Whether it's an Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, a Leonard Fournette, you take them second.
Yeah, because you're not going to get, at 4, 5, 6, you're not going to get Jonathan Taylor. You're not going to probably get Christian McCaffrey.
Right. And Christian McCaffrey, like Seth will not let that guy go. If you say Christian McCaffrey, he says he sucks.
Well, he breaks out in hives.
He does. He gets crazy. And so the other thing, they're all question marks. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, all these top running backs, they're just too big of a question mark. You don't know that they'll make it through a full season.
Right. Yeah. The NFL, I mean, now that they've added the 17th game, I mean, for a running back to make it through that gauntlet unscathed, I mean, without missing a game to 3 or 4 games, is almost unheard of anymore.
The other big thing I would say, don't take your quarterback early.
But Patrick Mahomes is still on the board.
If Patrick Mahomes is on the board in the 5th, grab him. That I'm cool with. The value is there. Otherwise, you can get a great quarterback. Remember, Tom Brady was being drafted like the 9th, 10th quarterback last year. And what did he do? He led the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns.
Yeah, but he's an alien. That's different.
He is a space alien. And just ask his doctors, they'll agree.
Right. All right. So that's good. And I think probably my advice to counter that or to add to that probably is know the scoring system of your league. If it's a standard league, you might tilt that one way or the other. If it's a point per reception or PPR, as you'll hear people talk about, I think that steers you even more towards those top end wide receivers.
Absolutely.
And or oftentimes those top 2 or 3 guys aren't guys that catch the ball out of the backfield a lot, but there's, like you mentioned, Aaron Jones. There's a few of those guys. Corey Dillon. I mean, you heard John Wick. I mean, Aaron Rodgers say the other day that he wouldn't surprise him to see both of them catch 50 balls.
Right. And I think that also told you everything you need to know about the Green Bay offense this year.
Yeah, he has nobody around him to throw the ball to in the wide receiver room.
You're not going to see 3 wide receiver sets. You're going to see dual backfield, and then you're going to have to figure out is Aaron Jones going out for a pass, or is AJ Dillon going out for a pass, or are they both going out for a pass? Because Aaron Rodgers can still run around.
Right.
He's super mobile. He can get around the outside and get to either side, whichever one they go to, and find an open guy.
Right. And at that point, you almost have to play nickel on the defensive side because Jones is a nightmare for an average linebacker.
Oh,
I mean, he's just toast.
Well, they both are because Dillon is so much bigger.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you go big to counteract Dillon running the ball, you can't cover Jones.
You can't cover him.
If you go small to put in the coverage, Dillon's going to run you over.
Yep, he's going to crush you. Right.
So, I mean, the good news for defenses going against them is, I mean, Alan Lazard is listed as number 1 on that depth chart. So, meh.
I'm telling you right now, he is a sleeper for me.
Meh.
Okay. You go back the past 10 years that Aaron Rodgers has had a rookie receiver come in. The highest yardage total is, I think, Marquez Valdez-Scantling at like 580.
Who's now with the Chiefs?
That was as a rookie. Jordy Nelson was under 500 yards. Devontae Adams, who I have a supreme man crush on. Oh, for sure. Oh, I love that dude. He was under 500 yards with Aaron Rodgers in his rookie season. And they're both, I think, the total of of Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling touchdowns was 9.
Okay. So you're saying there's a chance.
So Alan Lazard is the only veteran there.
All right.
I can't see a scenario he doesn't have 1,000 yards and 10 TDs.
All right. So who's a sleeper this year on your best? Let's hear this because I want to steal them from you.
I love Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I pulled off a trade for him in the Dynasty League, the Warsquared Dynasty League, which you're also in.
Uh-huh.
I pulled off a trade for him because I have Deshaun Watson, and beyond Aaron Rodgers, I didn't have another quarterback, but I think Jalen Hurts goes nuts this year.
Well, he's a middle of the road NFL quarterback, but he is a fantastic fantasy quarterback.
Absolutely.
I mean, tell the people why. I mean, not everybody gets the gist of that.
So the thing right now with quarterbacks, you want the quarterback that also has a high rushing upside. So a Lamar Jackson is a monster because he's going to rush for 800 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts is going to probably rush for somewhere around 600 yards and 5 or 6 TDs rushing. But he only had 16 passing touchdowns last year. I expect that number to almost double.
Well, his wide receiver room got infinitesimally better with A.J. Brown coming over.
Add an A.J. Brown. He should be a red zone demon. I mean, he should just...
Well, and that makes... I mean, when do wide receivers make the biggest jump? It's between their rookie year and year 2, and you've got Devontae on the other side now that's basically going to get a lot of what likely would have been double coverage attention had the status quo remained. But now you bring A.J. Brown, he's going to get all the heat and light from the defense.
Yep.
And I think Devontae is going to have a chance to really break out this year on the other side.
And Jalen Hurts' arm is live. I mean, everybody remember when you saw him in Oklahoma when he was throwing the ball all over the field there. It's going to be just like that. And every report out of Eagles camp is every pass is sharp, it's crisp, it's on time, it's in the right spot.
Yeah, people forget. I mean, he was the dude at Alabama.
Right.
And then the whole injury thing came and Tua and that whole thing. And then he ended up at OU, which isn't typically known as, in the past, it wasn't known as a quarterback university, but good Lord.
When Lincoln Riley was there, it was.
It's air raid on steroids.
Right.
I mean, so he's a dude, and he I could see why you have him as a sleeper, because I could see him falling off of or under a lot of people's radars at the QB1 spot.
I'd rather have him than Kyler. I'd rather have him than Dak Prescott. I want to say, oh man, it pains me to say this, I want him more than Lamar Jackson.
Wow. Yeah, Lamar's got contract on the brain, so we'll see what happens there. So, All right, so that's our sleeper. Who's the most overrated player you see on the draft board? Who's getting drafted way out of position right now in your mind?
I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. Travis Kelce.
Really?
It's way too early.
But have you seen the stash? I mean, come on, he's got to get some props and credit for that too, right?
So Travis Kelce, arguably one of the greatest receiving tight end ever. I know Tony Gonzalez fans that sounds like heresy, but Travis Kelce is really good at catching the football and being open.
Well, he wears a cloak, I'm convinced, because he just disappears. Now, will that happen without Tyreek to blow the coverage off the top and keep everybody so scared of that speed? Remains to be seen.
My thoughts on this, he's still going to be very good. Still, at worst, the third best tight end fantasy points wise. That's the worst.
Yeah.
And that's probably if he misses time.
Right.
But from what I've seen of the Chiefs and what they're going to do now is it's 100% Pat, find the open dude.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 dudes running around.
Yeah, they got rid of the top end WR1 and replaced that with like 5 dudes who are mid to high end wide receiver 2s in the NFL.
Yep.
And they're going to be spread out all over that dang field.
They're all fast.
Yeah.
Some of them are big and fast. MVS, pretty big, very fast. Juju, surprisingly big, also fast. McCole Hardman, small, fast. Justin Watson, big and fast. Justin Watson could be a real under the radar guy.
Yeah, I saw Doc picked him up in the Dynasty League. I was really disappointed to see that, but you know, and then there's the flip side of that. I don't know if you've watched any of the Chiefs preseason, because I know you're about the only dude on the planet that watches all of the preseason. But how much does Isaiah Pacheco look like Tyreek Hill wearing that number 10 uniform?
A little bit.
I mean, a little bit bigger version, but
yeah, he's bigger. That's the whole thing, is that he's bigger. Next year, I can't see him not being the starting running back.
well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be A, cheap, B, bigger, stronger, faster than anything they have right now, other than maybe Ronald Jones, who I feel like last night they put on display for a trade. I mean, he played the whole first half after not playing basically at all almost in preseason. So I think they're going to try to trade Jones, but I think that saves them about 1.5 on their cap. I think they only guaranteed him $500K or something like that.
It's $750.
Yeah,
it's nothing. It's one of those things that they said NFL teams cut guys that they just paid $750,000 to like it's nothing.
well, I think I looked it up last night. I think minimum salary for a rookie with zero service is $705. So I mean,
Right.
$750, whatever.
Yeah.
That's like you or me dropping, I don't know, a quarter.
Yeah.
I won't even say $1 because I'd pick up $1.
So that's been a bunch of the talk that I've heard this morning is about, well, you saw what the 4 running backs for the Chiefs were last night. Everybody says it's probably still going to be CEH until he inevitably gets injured. Then it's going to be Jerick McKinnon.
Yep.
Then they probably will keep the insurance that's Ronald Jones, because he's better than anybody else, especially since they put Derek Gore on IR with his broken thumb. And then Pacheco is also a special teamer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a lock.
Oh, yeah. No, he's going nowhere. They love him right now.
Yeah.
They absolutely love him. So it's going to be interesting. But he just looks like, and they say he ran a 4.37 at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like 205 pounds.
Yeah. It's crazy.
No, thank you.
It's crazy.
He's not Derrick Henry by any means, but Derrick Henry doesn't run a 4.3.
No.
But Derrick Henry's he's kind of like a Peterbilt coming through the
Yeah,
hole.
Mack trucks hit a lot harder than Cadillacs.
There's a lot of career decisions being made every time Derrick Henry breaks through the line. We'll just say that. All right, so enough fantasy football. Let's move on. Coach Tom.
Okay.
So, Coach Tom, tell us a little bit about what you coach, who you coach, why you do it.
Yeah, I've coached baseball and football in Rose Hill, junior football in Rose Hill, and then rec league baseball. It kind of started. I got my son into baseball. We had a coach for his original T-ball team and they were always coming from Wichita and couldn't get to practice on time.
Hate when that happens.
So I started helping, and one of my first helpings was dressed kind of like I am today in my khakis and,
Your coaching uniform.
and so I just went out on the field and ruined a pair of pants and a pair of shoes by getting the red dirt on them. And then it became the next year. It's like, so you're going to coach again this year, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
They found the sucker in you. Yeah.
like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Then 2 years after that, my son, half the kids that played on the baseball team were already in junior football. They convinced my son to start playing junior football, which there I am. I watch 2 or 3 practices, and pretty soon it's like, hey, why don't you come help us? Okay.
Now, were you coaching from the sidelines? Is that where
No, not at all. I don't ever tell other coaches what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
They're running their practices. They're running their teams. If they ask me, I'll tell them.
Right.
If they don't ask for my input, I don't tell them. It's their job.
You just have that conversation in your own head.
I'm like, I would have done that different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
There are a lot of things I've done. God, I wish I could have done them different.
Right. Oh yeah. No, having been there and done that, coaching my daughter back in the day and coaching, I mean, that's how she got into bitty basketball. Was we went down there to sign her up as a 5-year-old, and I walked in the door, and it was pretty early. I mean, it was like July, and basketball doesn't start in my mind until like November. Well, little did I know they started then back in like August at bitty basketball.
Right.
And they were like, well, yeah, there's like 5 other kids on the wait list ahead of her. So unless we find another coach, she's probably not going to be on a team. And that's when my arm kind of went, oh. All right, fine. I'll do it. And so I took my daughter in the wait list.
Right.
And that was what started it, and coached them through. She gave up basketball after she was 10.
Yeah.
Decided volleyball was her thing and wanted to focus on that. But God, that was fun. I meet some great people, great kids. I'm still in touch with them all today. They're all early 20s now. So they're all just amazing young ladies. And that's the fun part to me, is seeing them. And, you see them on social media, or you run into them here and there, and they come running up, coach.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the fun part. I met so many great parents and families too. I mean, that's how my family, that's how we made our friends when we moved here. It was all my baseball teammates, and that was our family.
Right.
And that was who we hung out with most of the time. So, no, that's cool that you do that and have stepped up, and because there's more people need to do that, in my opinion. You get a respect for the people who are doing it.
Right.
When you put your time and sweat and energy into it. And I mean, none of us are fail proof. So we all screw up and make mistakes, and probably should have done something different or better or whatever. But once you put yourself on the line like that, you sure appreciate watching other people do it, I think.
Yeah. And that's really the one thing that I would tell people is, it's cool to come to your kid's coach and say, hey, tell me about why you did this.
Mm-hmm.
But people sitting on the sideline and sniping at coaches and talking back and forth with other parents and rebel rousing, man, it's not cool.
Yeah. And you hear it every weekend. I mean, you go to tournaments, you go to games, and you hear it, and it's hard. It's hard for me. Baseball was my thing growing up, and so I see some things being taught, and it's probably not how I would teach it. And I think there's probably better ways it could be done, but I'm not the coach out there. So I just kind of internalize that. And some people don't have that filter and ability to keep it inside their head, I guess. And
yeah, I mean, it gets bad when it's like an insurrection. It's like when they're talking with other parents, they're like, can you believe they're doing this? And then I got to tell you, the other thing about a football game, that until you're a coach during a football game, you don't realize how fast time moves.
Oh yeah.
When you're watching it, there are times on a Sunday, not as much for me because I'm technically watching all the games, but when you're watching just the Sunday night game,
Right.
There are times during that broadcast where you were like, oh my gosh, can we just speed this up? Why do we need commercials? Blah, blah, blah. During a junior football game with 8-minute quarters, it goes by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
There have been so many times where the head coach has said, we got to get this person in. We got 3 minutes left in the half. No, coach, that's 3 minutes left in the game. This is the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What? I go, yeah, that's why we're telling you we can't punt. We got to go. You know, I mean, all these other things that we're telling you, you know, it's because we're also watching that,
Yep.
you know, and there's so many times that we're, well, so-and-so didn't get in the game. And it's like, you know what? I'm trying to figure out why our offensive line let the two linebackers through and and turned around and watched him go sack our quarterback and get a fumble and race down the field. And we had 2 guys out of our 11 chasing him.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of what I'm worrying about, you know, but yes, I want to get Jimmy in the game.
Right.
I want everybody to play. But
it's
really hard.
Yeah, it does. It goes really fast, and the timeouts are, you know, while you're watching on TV, timeouts and commercial breaks are monotonous. When you're in a game coaching it, and you get, you know, we don't have TV breaks in kids football or kids basketball. We don't get to the 3-minute TV timeout. We get that 60-second timeout or the 90-second timeout or 30-second. It's quick. I mean,
you have just enough time usually to run water out to the guys. Say, hey, guys, do this. Get the water bottles back and get off the field.
And you hope during all that, you happen to get most of them actually paying attention and looking at you for at least a few of those seconds.
Right. Most of the time, it's just drinking water.
It's kind of like herding cats with the kids. But yeah, no, I think all parents, I almost think, you know, how some countries like military service is mandatory. I almost feel like youth sports coaching or helping on a bench, be an assistant, be an equipment man, whatever. Almost think that should be required for everybody, because I think everybody would have a new appreciation for it when they're sitting in the stands later on.
They definitely would.
All right. So I'm going to add something in here because you mentioned Toilet Paper Tom.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about him a little bit ago. So
I did.
I mean, are you like for hire to go TP houses,
No,
or what is
like
Toilet
that.
Paper Tom all about?
So for 24 years, I was the purchasing manager of a local janitorial supply distributor.
Okay.
And so my biggest purchase every year was on toilet paper. I mean, we spent.
I mean, you need it every day.
Everybody uses it. So that's part of why you go into the janitorial services business, because who's not going to get toilet paper, right? And
it's a guaranteed sale.
Who doesn't like to clean their house up at least occasionally?
Right.
And especially your business.
Mm-hmm.
So our largest vendor was, of course, the Coke-owned Georgia Pacific.
Right.
And funny story that there was a near revolt and people threatened to quit at Coke Industries after they bought Georgia Pacific, and they took out the Kleenex Kimberly-Clark toilet paper and replaced it with Georgia Pacific's Compact Cordless, which is a very good, affordable toilet paper, especially in a high volume situation or location. Not really a soft, quilted, embossed product. And so shortly after that, Georgia Pacific invented the Angel Soft Compact Cordless, which was much nicer. Still not to the grade of the Kleenex Kimberly-Clark, but it was nicer.
So they listened to their employees.
Yeah, I don't know exactly all who it was, but it was the majority, I guess, of people in the executive washroom.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, there's a few things in life that you don't want to skimp on, and I think that's probably one of them.
That is definitely something that you will hear about it when you change your toilet paper.
I mean, if we go from recession to depression and people are having to make those choices, that's probably, if they're smart employers, the last thing they're going to make those cuts on.
Yeah. Now, funny enough, when COVID hit, that was one of the first things. People go buy the bottled water, go buy the toilet paper. We're going to be stuck at home forever.
I remember that.
And that was a huge deal. It was, look, you've got to get as much as you can get. Well, we did it, but we're stuck with a bunch of stuff.
There are people who will never have to buy toilet paper again in their life, and their kids may not have to buy toilet paper. I mean, is this something? I mean, I know you talked life insurance with AFLAC, but when you're writing out your will, is that storage room of toilet paper that you bought in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, is that going to be in the will?
Well, it's not going to be very good at that point because it's paper. It's going to degrade.
Oh, right.
So it's going to get more rigid and not as functional as you would like it to be.
So the toilet paper Tom is the toilet paper connoisseur. Interesting to know. Things you learn.
That's right.
Things you learn.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk quilted, embossing, 1-ply, 2-ply, 3-ply.
Wow. That's just wow. Okay, so the real question with toilet paper. As the toilet paper expert, self-anointed toilet paper Tom, clear it up for my listeners. Does the dang thing go on the roll over or under?
This is a serious life debate, and there are people who say if you don't go over, you don't get to stay. I always go over.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go under and you hit that roll the wrong way, then it just all bunches up.
She gone.
And it's a mess. It's just the worst.
Yeah, and you can't roll it back. It never rolls back up just right.
No.
You're just better off to just rip it off and find the trash can.
Right.
Don't throw it in the toilet.
No. Well, that's
unless you're the plumber.
That's another interesting thing is now it's become a mandatory requirement because of our septic systems and everything like that, that so much of the paper is recycled paper. So it's easier to break down.
Interesting. I can only wait to hear what California is going to do in the toilet paper world. I saw yesterday that they mandated no sale of gas burning cars after 2035. Yep. So I'm not sure where they're going on the toilet paper front, but I'm sure they'll be leading
yes,
on that too. I'm a little concerned about that one.
Straight to leaves.
I was going to say reusable, just rinse it off. Like the old handkerchief that my dad used to carry around. Hard pass for me on that one. And on that one, we will move off of toilet paper Tom. And now let's talk about an alter ego that I saw for the first time last week. Karaoke Tom.
Yeah.
That was like a whole nother dude that just
comes right out.
I mean, when I said, hey, do you want to go over and check it out? He's like, yeah, I'm in.
It didn't take much.
I mean, it's kind of like when he walked in here and the lights were on and he's ready to go. Tom was on go.
Right.
Karaoke machine does the same thing to you.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's fired up, I'm good to go.
So how long have you been doing karaoke?
Let's see. I think the first time I did it might have been 96, 97.
Okay.
Something like that.
Do you even have karaoke machines then, really?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was kind of like your situation here where you would have the whole soundboard and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with one of those old clunky like Sony or Pioneer disc players.
Yep.
And you'd put the discs in, and then you'd have to, press 5 or 6 or whatever to get to the right track, right? Because you'd have anywhere from 8 to 15 songs on it.
Oh my God.
And what really got me started into it is my sister's husband worked at House of Schwan. He was a bud delivery man, and on his delivery routes, he had a couple of businesses that were like, man, you know what we really need is we need somebody in here to host karaoke to drive more people to come in here. He goes, that's interesting. About 3 months later, he's got this whole setup.
Yep.
He's got the big tower speakers that on the big stands. He's got the disc player. He's got, geez, I don't remember how many discs he had, 200 discs or whatever with all these different songs on it. We're printing up booklets, and boom, he's doing it every Friday and Saturday night.
Wow. And yeah, I mean, that's become just like a whole cult industry, frankly. I mean, lots of places offer it, lots of different flavors of it too. I mean, you see some people here like, man, what are they doing here?
Right.
And then you see some people that you think, what are they doing here? The same thing could be construed both ways there with the same exact phrase.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, I started off doing Elvis as kind of like a joke.
Is this back when you had hair? Or?
Yes, back when I had hair. And I started doing Elvis kind of as a joke because I thought it was funny, and I would do, the song that I started with every week was All Shook Up. And so it was just like, that was the first song of the night.
Just to warm up, just to get things moving.
Yeah. And I mean, literally the first song, because we would get there and start at 9ish.
Yeah.
And so half the people aren't there yet.
Right.
It really at about 10 is when everybody would hit. And then it'd be till 1:00.
Okay.
And so since it was my brother-in-law, I mean, I was there to set up. I was there to tear down.
You were the roadie.
I was a roadie. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
You were the roadie doing sound check.
And then if he was sick, I was running it.
Okay.
Or if they,
I can't imagine you doing that. I mean, you're so shy behind the microphone.
I know it's just hard to believe, really.
That's a whole nother side of you, Tom. I've never thought of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's part of why, like with BNI and everything like that, I mean, somebody says, do this. I mean, boom, I'm up and it's
right.
I'm just on.
Right. Yeah. You've never met a stranger.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, especially in the business world. A lot of times, that's half the battle is just making that introduction, making that connection. And, I mean, that's where you and I met, was at BNI networking meetings. Thanks to Doc dragging you in there.
Yep.
I can still remember that up at the loft above River City Brewery back pre-COVID days. So, God, those were good times. Seems like it was a decade ago now, doesn't it? Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Nah.
I mean,
it seems like it's really close to me still.
There's BC there.
Yeah, before COVID,
and now there's before COVID, after COVID. So, yeah. So outside of Elvis, do you have any other go-to songs that you just?
I will share with you a song that I didn't tell you about. One of the things that also started, because again, I started it as I'm going to do karaoke and I'm going to do weird songs. So I started with Elvis because I didn't think anybody was going to do a lot of Elvis. And the other one that I grabbed as soon as I saw it in the booklet was Whip It. So and so it got to a point where people are asking, you ought to get a flower pot and you ought to wear it. So literally one night, like we had done it Friday night, we were going back to the same spot Saturday night. On the way in, we stopped by Walmart, grab a big flower pot for
that's a big flower pot,
$3. And at the instrumental break, my brother-in-law throws me the flower pot. I put it on my head. Berserk. I mean, you can't imagine how berserk people went. I mean, shots started flying, all sorts of drinks. Oh gosh, that was crazy.
That's great. No, I mean, props, man. Props, not just props for doing it, but props are always a good thing.
Yeah.
I think probably my biggest advice for people in karaoke is if you don't know the song, make sure you can at least read and get it out so you're not 3 words behind. We saw a couple of those the other night, and I was just like, it's painful. I mean, A for effort, 100% respect them for the kudos to get up there, because that takes cojones to get up there,
Right.
or shots,
Right.
or both. But yeah, if you're gonna sing a song, either know it or be able to read it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like our Hooked on Phonics buddy at BNI. You know,
Right.
we're working on his reading, and I think we need to find a bouncing ball that we can use. I might get a laser pointer. I need to see if I can find one that
He wants one. He likes the laser pointer.
I need to see if I can find one. Amazon's probably got it. I mean, if they don't have it, you don't need it. So I'm going to do some searching after this and see if I can get one that's not just like the little fine laser point, but like
the big dot.
yeah, a big dot bouncing ball for him. I think that would be fantastic to break out for him. So somebody that's never had the courage to get up there, what's something that you'd tell someone that's never gotten up there? What would your advice be?
The first thing is find a song that you kind of know, that you've got a part in, and do it with somebody else who does a lot of karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
Or do something that's just totally out there. Like I have a buddy of mine. He's my brother-in-law's buddy that he went to school with, but he can really sing. And he would do all these great songs, you know, Midnight Train to Georgia. And, you know, I mean, him doing Elvis's Suspicious Minds is what got me to do it afterward. I mean, I would never do it on a night he was there. I would do it whenever he wasn't there. And so one night, again, I don't know, it's got to be 12:30, 1 o'clock. Somebody put in for him and I to do Summer Nights. Summer Nights is a crowd pleaser. You cannot go wrong with that. You can't, because everybody knows the words and everybody knows the song.
Right.
So they'll help you sing it, and it's just fun. So if you mess it up, nobody cares.
Right.
Because they already know it. You know, so he sang he started off singing the girl part. I ended up singing the girl part at the end. You know, we just switched after one of the breaks, and so if you can do that, do that. You know, just get to where you're used to being in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
You're used to saying the words that come up on the screen.
Right.
And then it just becomes, okay, fine. I've done it once. Now I'll just do it again.
Right. That's exactly right. And it was funny when I was first researching, putting together a podcast, there's a crap ton. I mean, you go to YouTube University and there's a crap ton of people who will help you with, here's all the gear you need. Here's how you need to set it up. Here's what you need to do the video side. Here's this, here's that. But a lot of those guys, when they were telling people how and to get it started, if you're not 100% comfortable, take your drink.
Little liquid courage.
Who knows what's in there? Pick out your favorite libation and just do it.
Right.
And that's, I mean, karaoke's typically in a bar setting. Grab a drink, a little extra courage, and just let her rip, tater chip.
The other thing you got to think about is, of course, I got to the point where I just loved the entertainment aspect of it. And so it's, part of it for me is getting everybody else going. So I don't usually do songs that are kind of low key.
Right. No, Tom had dance moves. I mean, I saw a difference. I mean, if you've seen, what's I can't even think of the name of the movie, but Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank came out that night at karaoke.
It's pretty easy.
Just a glimpse of Frank the Tank.
Yeah. I didn't even get wild.
That was your tame Tom.
Yeah, that was pretty low key.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get super into it.
All right, we're gonna
and I wasn't hammered.
We're gonna have to put together an outing where we can let some of our listeners know when they want to come and check out Tom on the karaoke.
Yeah, I'll fire it up. I mean, heck, we can swing by the house. Let's just fire it up. We'll grab a mic. I mean, that's it. That's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You know, you get a soundboard, you get a microphone, and you got your cell phone. Boom, you got a karaoke machine.
That's all it takes anymore. It's crazy. And, you know, it's a far cry now from the old days of like the discs and all that, and the huge books that looked like kind of the crossover between the JCPenney's Christmas catalog and War and Peace,
Mm-hmm.
with whatever songs that they had. Now you just go up and they're like, yeah, here it is. They pull it up on their computer and you're sixth in line and
Right.
you're up.
Yep.
And so, I think I'm not a huge performer on that stage, but I'll get up there on occasion. And my trick to that, and you hit on it, is pick a song that people know, pick a song that's a sing along. And you can do that, and you can hold the mic out here, and you're not crazy blaring through it, but everybody else sing along with you. Dude, it's just about having fun.
Right. Yeah, you just can't be reluctant. I mean, that comes through, and a lot of times, one of the things I think I said to you when we were over there is I was like, the most cringeworthy thing that usually happens is you see somebody walk up there and they put in November Rain by Guns N' Roses, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a long 10 minutes.
Yes. November Rain, American Pie.
Now, American Pie is that was one of the songs that my brother-in-law would finish with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long song, but it's a great song that everybody's going to sing. So it's kind of a little bit of both. But anytime you see a song that's 8, 9, 10 minutes, not a great choice for karaoke in my mind.
Yeah, unless it's something like, unless you've got somebody, we used to have a buddy of mine that was really good. He and another girl that came in there, they would do Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
Mm-hmm.
And it was requested usually, if not every night, they were both there every other time.
Wow.
Just because it was so entertaining when they would do it, and
but they've got that skill and that capability and that level to do that, and that's the difference versus just somebody who's just trying it out for the first time and not really sure.
Yeah,
don't start there.
Don't go to the hard ones. Go to the quick ones. Go to the 2 or 3 minute songs. Another one, everybody should go to Great Balls of Fire. I mean, it is so easy. And you can be as outrageous as you want to be. I mean, if you ever listen to it, the Jerry Lee Lewis song, he doesn't sound great singing it.
No, it's the energy of it is the key to that song.
You take it all to the Top Gun level,
yep.
And you just go Goose and Maverick in the bar and just go with it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is the other one. I think it's a classic song that everybody will sing with you, but not one you want to start out with if you're a novice. I think, you get into some of those and everything. Oh, that's a cool song. I'll do that. I mean, stick to your Sweet Caroline, stick to some of your things that are your traditional bar sing-alongs, and you'll get, if there's 10 people in the room, they'll help you. If there's 100 people in the room, they'll help you.
Garth Brooks is a slam dunk.
Yep.
I did a Garth Brooks while we were there. I did what's one of his harder ones because it's so fast.
Yeah. It's a Garth rap song, basically.
Right. But it's so fast. It's so high energy that, you just can't help but start getting caught up, you know, and that's part of what you do. And that was the other thing that we tried to do when my brother-in-law ran it was we would try to do a ramp up period and then a little bit of a slow back down period to another ramp up period.
Manage the show.
Yeah. It becomes just a show. It becomes a job.
Yeah. And people need that, that slow period. If they don't like that song, it's a great time to get up and go get a drink and hit the restroom real quick.
That's right. Come back and re-engage.
Fire it back up.
That's right.
Gotcha. All right. So, we talked a little bit pre-show. No pets currently. You grew up with pets.
Yeah. So, growing up, we had Weimaraners.
Okay.
So we had a gray and we had a blue.
Okay.
And so,
dogs.
Our gray, a great dog. I don't know how she kind of became this way, but she became that kind of protector dog.
Yeah.
And we had a neighbor. We lived out in the country. We had a neighbor and we said, look, if it's after dark, do not come over before calling us because we need to put the dog away. Because so one night he comes hopping over the fence and all you hear is outside. Well, the dog, stayed in the garage and had a door going in and out. He just jumped the fence.
Snack time.
And he got to the porch when she hit him and just boom, and and of course we were super worried. He was, he was in the Air Force. We were super worried he was going to say, look, this dog bit me. We need to go get it or whatever. But he's like, nope, you told me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Fair warning, and I was an idiot.
I forgot, and then one night my dad had this big orange pickup truck and a CB and everything in it back then. Of course, that is totally going to date how old I am, but had this big orange truck.
The gun rack was still in the back window too then, right?
Yep, sure was. The gun rack / fishing pole rack.
Yeah, it's versatile.
Right. It's dual purpose. One morning he goes out and the driver door is open and there's blood leading from all the way down the driveway back out to the road. So somebody tried to break in and steal something, and the dog got him.
I was going to say that. How'd that work out for him?
Yeah. And then we ended up when the gray one, Heidi, when she was getting older, we got this blue one that was inbred, and she was this monstrous dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Heidi was a pretty good sized dog. She was, 65, 70 pounds. This dog was like 95 pounds.
Okay.
And we had a chain link fence around the backyard. And from the time that dog, she was in the backyard. She couldn't be out because she would just run off. I mean,
yeah,
she was like the explorer dog.
Yeah.
And if she was gone, she was just gone. You had to wait for her to come back. And so we had a chain link fence. She lived back there from the time she was just a puppy. We were like, no, every time she put her foot up there. So it got to the point where she got big enough that when people came that she didn't know, she would literally be ping ponging and all of her legs would be above the 4-foot chain link fence. But we had taught her from the beginning that she couldn't go over it.
Right.
So in her mind, she couldn't.
But she still wanted to get up and be seen.
But she would be ping ponging up in the air and barking and everything like that.
Oh my goodness.
There'd be service guys that would come, they'd be like, well, we're not going in that backyard until that dog's put up.
Smart.
That's
yeah.
a good decision.
Yeah, I had some guys out working on the boat and putting a new ignition switch in the other day, and he called and he says, "Hey, are you home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down in the studio." He's like, "Well, your dogs are home too." I was like, "Yep, let me grab them real quick." He just knew he wasn't coming in, and you've met the 3 dogs. I mean, they're kind of the inspiration for the show. It's amazing that Bella is actually laying right at Tom's feet. For those of you guys that follow us, you know that Bella is our most skittish of the 3, but she likes Tom. She's met Tom several times, and she walked right over to him. I was getting cameras set up over there, and she walked right over there. I was a little impressed with her. She's starting to figure it out a little bit, but yeah, she's the same way. She sounds very impressive and looks very impressive with her bark and the teeth showing. Now, I shouldn't say this on air because we have almost 600 subscribers now and people will figure it out, but her ploy is she's going to come charging about 3 hard strides, barking and snarling. And if you haven't turn and run, she's going to.
Right.
But she sounds really good.
Right.
She sounds impressive. And then
really impressive. And I mean, I was over at a buddy's house last night and he has a big dog that's 8 months old now. But I've been over there. I can't tell you how many times, 30, 40 times, and seen this dog. And he knows me, but he comes running up, and bark, bark, bark. And then stops, and then you reach for him, and he barks again, and so I was like, I pulled my hand back. I was a little shocked, and then like 15 minutes later, it's like, oh, okay, you're fine.
Oh yeah, he remembers you now.
Yeah.
That's kind of how this one works. She has the what I call the goldfish memory in about 10-15 seconds. She'll remember, and then she'll forget. I mean, that's happened. We've had people over here, and she'll lay down, come back around the corner, and see him again, and start barking again. I'm like, dude, they've been here for 3 hours. What are you doing?
Right. And then we lost our other puppy. Well, he wasn't a puppy. He was 4 years old, but we lost him last year. He was a 3/4 black lab, 1/4 Pomeranian.
I'm not even going to ask. Nope, not going there.
So he was basically a hairy black lab that got put in the dryer too long, and so he was smaller.
So did he eat less though? That might be a good bonus to that.
Well, he ate a little less, but not significantly enough.
Okay, so instead of being the walking stomach, it was 3/4 of a walking stomach.
Right.
All right. So, well, we'll keep an eye out. I mean, you can have a door prize today. I've got 3 of them here, so we can just put some names in a hat, and you can take one with you, or I think I'd probably get in trouble for that, seeing that it is National Dogs Day. So, yeah, I'm sure the dogs will have something to put out on their social media here in a little bit. But Tom, I appreciate you coming over and taking time to come in studio and talk a little bit. It's always fun when you can get, AFLAC Tom to give the duck. We get Warsquared and learn what the heck that is. A little bit of wisdom from Coach Tom. Karaoke Tom. Man, if you get a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. In fact, I've got some video that if you guys email me, I might be able to send some of that little footage out there.
You shot some footage that night?
I got a little footage, buddy. I got a little footage. I'm a video guy. I don't know if you know this.
I do. I wasn't paying attention, but
you were in character in the moment, dude.
That's
and
true.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So I got a couple good little clips there. And then toilet paper Tom. I mean, that's kind of like Frank the Tank. It's like an alter ego.
It really is. That's the pretty nice little Saturday Tom right there.
That's funny. All right, guys. So with that said, we're gonna wrap it up. We're running long here, but for the three dogs and their dude, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks, Tom, for coming in. And again, if you guys need insurance, you need life insurance, disability, give Tom a call, shoot him an email. He's a great guy. He'll walk you through it. And if it's not a good fit, he'll tell you that too. I mean, he's just as honest as the day is long. And
it's a free consultation.
Yeah.
It'll be an insurance checkup. If you don't like it, we don't go forward.
I guarantee
what it is.
I guarantee you'll enjoy the conversation. The guy likes to talk, but he's also a good listener and will make sure he gets you the right product. So with that said, we're going to wrap it up and we'll throw some tunes on here. Peace out, guys. Thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode of Three Dogs and a Dude. Make sure you're subscribed to Three Dogs and a Dude at your favorite podcast outlet. Search Three Dogs and a Dude, number 3 Dogs and a Dude at your favorite podcast outlet and give us a follow. You can also find us on the web at 3dogdude.com. That's number 3 dogdude.com. We look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, for the three dogs, this is their dude signing off.
Hip hop.